Let's preview tonight's Spurs-Rockets game. Could there possibility of a co-rookie of the year? And talk about you, Locked On Spurs fan comment.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the San Antonio Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Hope everybody's having a great work week. We'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hey, as always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts, Google Play, iTunes, Spotify. The list goes on and on, including the Ken's 5 Plus app, and of course on YouTube. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking quickly, previewing tonight's Spurs-Rockets game, then bringing our guest, Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. We're going to be asking, could the scenario of a co-rookie of the year, Wemby and Chet, happen? And then talk about some of the comments y'all have left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. But first, your Spurs and Rockets get things going tonight. Interstate rivalry. Here we go. Spurs entering tonight's game 13-48 on a 2-game winning streak, while the Rockets are 26-34. Now, this would be the first game of a mini road game. The Spurs will take on the likes of Houston tonight and the Warriors and the Kings. So, yeah, 3-game mini road trip right here. So what happened in the last game? Well, the Spurs are coming off a home win over the Pacers. Yes, the Pacers, 117-105. Wemby, what more can you say? Seriously, what hasn't been said about the kid? 31 points, 6 blocks, 12 rebounds. Malachi Branham had 18 points, 4 rebounds. Zach Collins added 11 points. Devin Vassell had 17, and Calvin Johnson had 17 points as well. Injury report, Julian Champagnie is questionable, and so was Victor Wembanyama. Yes, he is questionable due to a shoulder injury. Hopefully he'll play tonight versus Houston. The Spurs will be in their Icon Edition jerseys, those are the black jerseys, tonight in Houston. All right, as always, we start off with the opposition. So what's cooking with Houston? Well, keep an eye on this. The Rockets have recorded 9 consecutive games of a lower field goal percentage than their opposition. So they're misfiring right now. Spurs can capitalize on that. They're not connecting on shots. Spurs need to take advantage of that, amp up the defense, make it even much more difficult for the Rockets, that is, to hit shots. Also, the Rockets have recorded 3 consecutive games with more fouls in their opposition, so they're fouling a lot. Spurs need to take advantage of that if that trend continues. Get to the free throw lines, get those easy buckets, get some of those guys in foul trouble, like Alperen Sengun. The list goes on and on. So take advantage of that. They're definitely playing some dirty basketball. They're not playing clean. Spurs can take advantage of that. But keep an eye on the scoreboard. The Rockets are 15-3 at home when leading after the first period. So hopefully the Spurs can buck that trend. Now, obviously, Houston hangs on to that lead, and they, as the stat shows, they tend to not let that go. So that first period is going to be crucial for the Spurs to come out on top, entering into the final last 3 quarters of the game. Now for your Spurs. Well, first of all, first thing you got to keep an eye on, the Spurs have lost 5 straight road games. Starting on the road again, they got a 3-game roadie. Hopefully they can buck that trend and get a win. Now, they are turning the corner somewhat. They are playing a little bit more mature basketball, so hopefully that road jinx that they got going on right now will be lifted. And finally, this is good news. One of the keys to the Spurs winning right now is they're hitting their 3-point shots. The Spurs have made 3 consecutive games with more 3-point shots made than their opposition. So they're connecting on their outside shots, their 3-point shots, that is. So keep that up. That's key, and especially in today's game. You got to make those threes. The Spurs are definitely doing that. There you go, your quick Spurs-Rockets preview. Coming up next, we have Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. We're going to be discussing, could the chance of a co-rookie of the year award be handed out to Chet and Victor, and then talk about some of the comments y'all are leaving at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Today's show episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, if you're going to try online therapy I recommend you use BetterHelp. And if you do, and I recommend you go try BetterHelp, you want to go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA and get your way to being your best self. look, sometimes we all need the opportunity to get things off our chest, big or small. Certain things can start eating at us. They can really start to get on you, weigh you down. So it's important to let that out, especially as someone who is unbiased on your life. So today I want to talk to you about how, maybe you might be feeling, are you feeling down? You're feeling happy. If you're doing things that are right, you want to keep them going. Why not try BetterHelp? So if you're thinking about some ups and downs in your life, hey, why don't you try BetterHelp? Look, it's completely online. It's completely online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule. And look, sometimes you have bigger problems than, the Spurs losing or having a bad season. Yeah, there's more to life than just the Spurs, NBA, sports in general, where the real life things are affecting you at your job, your personal relationships. Give BetterHelp a try. So again, yeah, if you're thinking about starting online therapy, try BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get yourself 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, now we're now joined by Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. Hey, Rudy, thank you for coming out to Comic-Con 2024. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, no problem, man. I had a great time. My daughter had a great time too. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. He is the host of Sweep the League. You can find it on YouTube, part of the Acquired Taste the Alamo City Sports Podcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy will talk about that later. Got to get the subscription numbers up, everybody. He'll talk about how you can do that and more. And we're going to be discussing head-to-head. Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren. Is it a lock for Rookie of the Year for Wemby? Apparently not, according to Mr. Campos. Not to say that Wemby is not going to win the award, because in this scenario, he technically does. But Rudy, you've been on the record, co-Rookie of the Year. We're going to do this again like we did back in the 90s. I believe it was that Jason Kidd and Shaq, right?
It was Kid in Grant Hill.
Kid in Grant Hill. We're going to do that again?
Well, I've been on the record a lot, and it's actually been echoed by a couple of former NBA players as well, that they really feel, and I feel the same way about co-Rookie of the Year when it comes to Chet Wemby. Now, don't get me wrong, stat wise, as far as importance and all this good stuff for Wemby, it's clear cut that Wemby's a Rookie of the Year, but for the league standpoint, the case has been brought. Well, if you do co-Rookie of the Year, it brings that much more of a rivalry to, and that kind of a shot of the arm for what the NBA kind of needs now that LeBron's on his way out. Pretty much, You're going to have that next generation come in. But even if you look at stats, I mean, when we look at stats, Jeff, you're talking about Victor, who's averaging 20, 10, and 3, and on assist part, he's actually three blocks as well. But then you look at Chet. Chet is 17, 7, 2, and 2. But you're thinking, well, I mean, clearly Victor's a runaway, Rookie of the Year winner here. I actually feel, ideally, I feel Victor is going to run away with the Rookie of the Year. You see Chet's stats coming down a little bit. Victor's rising. Spurs can win a few more games. That makes a big difference. But if you look at it on paper, they're about pretty similar when it comes to stats. I mean, I think Chet's averaging like 3 rebounds less, 3 points less, maybe like 0.8 blocks less. The assists are right around the same thing. Chet's a better shooter, shooting 54% from the field. Victor's at 47%. Stats-wise, you can kind of make a case for co-Rookie of the Year, but it all comes down to the media. You and I both have kind of worked in the media. You've worked a lot longer in the media. You have no idea how the media is going to vote for Rookie of the Year. It's a good possibility they may actually factor wins in with Chet when it comes to voting for Rookie of the Year.
Well, here's the thing, too. Right now, I think he is the runaway. I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I think he is the runaway, and I don't think there's going to be co-Rookie of the Year, simply because the way that Victor is playing at the right time, where award season is around, he's breaking records. Another game where he records 5 blocks or more, 30 plus points. While Chet is playing good, but he's not putting up individual numbers like we're seeing like Wemby is. And it's totally different scenarios. They don't need OKC. They don't need Chet to do what he needs to do a la Wemby in Oklahoma City, because they have a more complete team. Spurs have an incomplete team with the big guy in the middle, and Wemby's doing it all. So you also look at the media push. You talked about that. It's big right now. You cannot watch an NBA show, a sports show without Victor being a topic.
Yeah.
So I think everything is just coming together perfectly for Victor. Interestingly enough, though, he was asked recently about the Rookie of the Year race, and he said something to the effect of that. Well, whether he was asked, "Hey, is it a wrap?" And he said, "No, it's not, because there's still 20-something games left." So he doesn't feel it's a wrap yet. Rudy, I think if Chet's going to steal it away from him, he's going to have to play better and almost be the guy for Oklahoma City, and that'll never happen. So to me, it's a wrap. But as far as the rivalry is concerned, and obviously the NBA will have to like really boost that up. I mean, head to head though, doesn't Chet have the wins as far as just team wins, like 2-1, I believe?
Yeah, so Oklahoma City has beaten the Spurs. I believe it's 2-1 on the record as we speak right now. The thing, you're right, man. I mean, both players know that it's not completely over. I mean, Wemby knows it. There's still enough basketball left for Chet can put on and go on a phenomenal tear. I mean, both of these guys are phenomenal athletes, phenomenal basketball players. So we can actually see that with them. And you could probably see Wemby come down a little bit. I don't see that happening. I see Wemby continuing that steady pace because, as we've seen, we saw Chet go off, in the beginning of the season. And it's not that he's actually dialed down, Jeff, or gone downhill. He's just kind of leveled off already. And you're right. He's not the first option on the team. So you're not going to see these big-time Victor performances by Chet Holmgren. He's got SGA. He's got Jalen Williams. He's got a team around him. And obviously you can tell they're the best team in the West. So you're going to see a little bit of a drop-off, but it's not necessarily a drop-off where it's more of a plateau. With Victor, from day one, we've seen him go from here to here to here to here to here, just rising on up. And that's where I think you might get the Rookie of the Year votes from the media, is just his increase in points, in rebounds, and blocks. And honestly, the type of season we haven't really seen since probably David Robinson's rookie season. The numbers are pretty similar to Robinson's rookie year. So do I really feel deep down inside? I personally feel that Victor does get the Rookie of the Year and he wins it by himself. But I also, part of me does say that we may see Rookie of the Year or co-Rookie of the Year at the same time.
Well, let's look at some of the numbers. Sorry. So head-to-head, team-wise, OKC's up on Wemby's Spurs 2-1. So as of right now, that's it. But you look at the individual stats between the two big guys, majority of them fall towards Wemby. You got points, edge Wemby, rebounds, edge Wemby, assists, edge Wemby, steals, Wemby, blocks, Wemby. But I mean, he leads the league in blocks. But then you shift to other categories. This is where Chet has Wemby's number. Field goal percentage, Chet. 3-point percentage, Chet. Effective field goal percentage, Chet. So, I think if you're going to scale it like that, because it is an individual award, then it leans towards Wemby. But do you think the wrench in all this is the impact that he's made to Oklahoma City being a winning team?
Ooh, that's a great question. I really feel like that's going to play a little bit of part into it. And as much as people don't want it to, I mean, again, it's hard to determine how people are going to vote. We've seen some crazy votings in the past. And it might determine, because you have to take into the factor, is Oklahoma City the number one seed in the West without Chet Holmgren's performance? I mean, you could make a case they're a playoff team and, easily a playing team, but easily a playoff team. But would they be number one without Chet in the lineup and without a part of the organization, playing? It's kind of hard to say, man. I mean, that's gonna factor some, but what's gonna be determining is his last part of the season. And if the Spurs can actually get a few more wins under their belt, and I think, honestly, Jeff, if they can get to around 22 wins, I think it's a clear-cut winner that Victor will get the Rookie of the Year without any hesitation. But if I was to vote right now, I mean, I wouldn't give co-Rookie of the Year. I'd give it to Wembanyama just because off of performance and off of his increase in his averages throughout the season. That's why I would vote for him. But again, my biggest gripe is it wouldn't surprise me to see co-Rookie of the Year.
So now we looked at the team head-to-head. Now, what about the individual matchup head-to-head? Well, Victor has won that if you're going by stats. So in 3 matches individually, Victor has scored 20 points against Chet now, and Chet has scored against 16.3 points per game against Wemby. Now, keep in mind, a lot of switching. You really don't get to see them a lot play one-on-one. So like Lou Dort is defending Wemby, or
Yeah.
Zach Collins is posting up Chet. But as far as the numbers are concerned and the outcome of the 3 games, Wemby scores more than Chet. Chet actually plays more minutes now. Keep in mind, Wemby was on a minutes restriction, so that skews the numbers.
Yeah.
But you're looking at field goal attempts. They both took an exact amount in their 3 head-to-head matches, 4 each. Okay, now you're looking at free throws. Victor has gone to the free throw more versus Chet. 5 trips to Chet's 4, so by 1. Rebounds, huge edge. Wemby 13 to Chet's 7 in 3 games head-to-head. Steals are even, 1 each. Assists are pretty much close, 4 for Chet, 4.3 for Wemby. Turnovers, though, interesting. Chet wins that battle, turning it over twice in 3 games versus Wemby's Spurs, and 3 times for Wemby against Chet in Oklahoma City. So even the individuals are kind of close too. Now, looking at field goal attempts, Chet takes less because that's it. Because he has SGA on there and Jay Williams and all that stuff. He takes about 12 shots attempts in 3 games versus Spurs, while Wemby has taken 17. So even the numbers, you got to keep it in a grand scheme just because of the teams and their makeup that they're on right now, Rudy.
Yeah, that's the question you've got to kind of ask yourself. If there was no SGA on the team, no Jalen Williams, I mean, if it was just kind of Josh Giddey or even Jalen Williams and Chet, how much more would Chet be doing? He'd probably be averaging right around where Victor is. And then you're really talking about co-rookie of the year. Now, one thing that fans, especially in San Antonio, they like to do is say, well, look at the comparison, kind of what we did. Chet's, he's getting overmatched by Victor. And they think that's the rookie of the year right there. The debate is Chet versus Wemby. And it's not just that. It's what they do overall throughout the season. I mean, but of course, Victor's going to win head-to-head on that matchup. He's winning it right now. But you got to remember, this is the thing. Go back to Chet's college years at Gonzaga. I mean, he was playing with Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs. So he's never really been the actual number 1 on a team, not since high school. And I mean, Gonzaga, Timme and Suggs were there. I mean, you're also coming into the Oklahoma City where SGA is here. So Chet really hasn't been the true number 1, and he doesn't really have to be, which just kind of fits his game a lot better. But, you're right. I mean, if he's the number 1 option in Oklahoma City, these stats would probably be a lot more for Chet Holmgren. I think he actually might be outscoring Victor, to be honest with you. But the rebounds, I would still give the edge to rebounds and blocks to Victor as well.
Yeah, I mean, Victor is, and again, you look at Vegas lines, they have him as it was not a race anymore. He's now the overwhelming. I think a 95% chance Vegas has him walking away with a rookie of the year, not a co-rookie of the year. But circling back to that topic, co-rookie of the year, man, Spurs fans would be flipping tables if that happens. I mean, it would be just like, what? Like, how? I mean, how? They can look back to that block in that game versus OKC when we had, that they won and, the numbers, stuff like that. I mean, do you think it would be a controversial thing if the NBA does do co-rookie of the year? I think it'd be very controversial.
I believe it'll be controversial within the 210 city limits more than anything. I mean, everybody outside of San Antonio has Victor also winning. I mean, Vegas has him winning too. But would it be a shock to people if you saw a Chet Victor co-rookie of the year? Probably not as shocking as it would be around town. And I get it, man. I totally get it. You're looking at stats, you're looking at production, you're looking at everything. Victor's a clear-cut winner, which again, I would have him as rookie of the year. But the biggest thing is, if it comes down to co-rookie of the year, I've heard people say, well, it could be co-rookie of the year because again, it saves space for the NBA. I mean, you have 2, can't really say generational talents just yet. I mean, they're right there, but you have 2 big men that we haven't seen in any aspects of any NBA games. I mean, the 2 big men back then, Olajuwon Robinson, Russell Chamberlain, these are 2 hybrids of those guys. I mean, you're seeing a phenomenal rival right before our eyes. So does it make sense for the NBA to say, hey, you know what, co-rookie of the years, now it's that extra rival? I mean, imagine that, Jeff. Then you have 2 guys fighting for MVP probably in the next few years once these old cats are out of the league. I mean, a lot can be made to be said for Chet and Wemby.
Right, well, there you have it. Our thoughts on if there will be a co-rookie of the year. We don't think there will be, but Rudy is saying brace yourself. It probably could happen.
Mhm.
All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about you guys, Locked On Spurs fans. What are some comments you're all leaving at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page? We'll get into that coming up next. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You got to get FanDuel right now. Go to FanDuel.com and check out America's #1 sports book. Yeah, get your buckets going with your first bet over at FanDuel. Because right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Yes, you heard that right. That's $150 if your bet wins. Another reason why you should be going to FanDuel right now. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. Hey, look, the Spurs are in action. There's still some games left on the calendar. What more reason for you to go have fun with the team? And also, perhaps for yourself, over at FanDuel. So you want to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now and shoot your shot. I have the app. It's very user-friendly, very easy to navigate. They got everything you need when you want to join a sports book. Again, it's why it's America's #1 sports book. Again, just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sports book partner of the NBA. I also want to talk about Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They have it all. You need a latte? Check. Cold brew? Check. A signature drink like the Muslinger? They got that too. What about dairy alternative drinks? They got that as well. And also, if you need a quick boost to your day and just to power you through that day, try the Red Bull infused Lightning Bolt series. I recommend adding strawberry. It is delicious. They got mini donuts. They got a friendly staff. They got a big menu. I'm just touching the surface of that menu. You want to go to Muslinger's right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Signature drinks, I mentioned that. Try the OG OJ. Definitely, you'll love that, especially if you're an 80s babies like me. So go to Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They are everywhere on social media, on X, on Threads, on Facebook, on TikTok. Just follow them at Muslinger, SATX, all one word. Again, friendly staff, good menu, mini donuts, drinks galore, all you need here in San Antonio. A proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member of San Antonio, and proudly serves San Antonio the best delicious coffee around town. Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now because life is too short for a bland coffee. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, part of the Alamo City Sports Podcast Network. Go check it out. Rudy's going to tell you all about it, how you can subscribe. You got to get those numbers up. He'll tell you about that and more. Rudy's about that time. We go and dive into some fan questions left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. And the first one is about Patty Mills. For those who don't know, the Atlanta Hawks have waived Patty Mills. He is now available for a team to pick up. Spurs, maybe. Well, we have some reaction to that. This one is from Mandarin. Let me replay that again. Mandralin. There we go. Mandralin Lin says, bring him back home to where he belongs. His jersey deserves to go in our rafters. What do you think about that, Rudy? Bringing back Patty Mills. You think that'll happen, or you think Spurs really got to get away from the old guys and just keep on going with the youth movement?
So the issue that I have is every time a player gets released, whether it be a former Spur or any player in general, everybody ties them into the Spurs on X and on social media. But I get Patty Mills was a very, very, very important part of the Spurs title runs. I mean, made big shots for the Spurs, was a very good locker room guy, veteran overall, just a great player, great person in general. But you got to also understand he's at the end of his career. He can do a lot more good for a team like Phoenix or somebody that needs a point guard, but also these contending teams. I mean, I get it. If he gets no interest from any contending teams, which I really doubt is going to happen, he's going to get a lot of interest. Then I don't mind bringing him back. But the thing is, if people say, well, you got to bring him back, he deserves to be in the rafters, his jersey. You can always retire a person's jersey, whether they come back to San Antonio or not. But for me, Jeff, I'm not on the bring Patty Mills back, at any cost necessary. It's just, for me, it's just, hey, he got released. He's going to probably find another option or probably just end up retiring. I mean, he's already at the end of his career. So really, there's no reason to go down that road for me.
Yeah, exactly. If he wants to come back to San Antonio, I'm okay with that. Maybe in a coaching staff capacity.
Mhm.
It's not uncommon for that. I mean, look at Gorgie Dang. I mean, the most recent example,
Mhm.
he is part of the Spurs coaching staff. He is. So I would love to see that happen for Patty. I think they got to stick with the youth movement, give those minutes to Blake, give those minutes to
Mhm.
Trey Jones. And the City Sissoko, I know he got assigned to Austin, but when he does come back, give him those minutes. I get the whole locker room presence, the whole vibe there, the know-how, the Spurs culture, all that good stuff. But I think it's time for these guys to forge their own chapter in Spurs history and not lean too much on the past.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at right now. No knock on Patty.
Yeah.
You mentioned, like you mentioned, the Spurs can retire his jersey if they wanted to, after he's retired. They did it for Avery Johnson. So there's an example. Bruce Bowen's another example. So it's been done, and it wouldn't shock me if the Spurs actually go ahead and retire Patty Mills' jersey down the road. But no, I think leave those minutes at roster space for the young bucks in San Antonio. But that's a good point there, Luna. We appreciate that. All right, and our final question or statement in this case is about Bronny James. So before I get into the fan question, Rudy, so yesterday's Locked On Spurs, we discussed the Spurs at the NBA draft. And if Bronny James is there in the second round and the Spurs have a second round pick, do you take a chance on him because of the lure of maybe LeBron James coming with him? Our guest, Casey Vieira, was all down. He's all in on that. He's like, yeah, you do it. If you could bring in a Hall of Fame player to pair with Wemby, even if it's a rental, you do it. I was on the fence. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think the Spurs need a project. It's too risky. Bronny be spending time in Austin. Would LeBron like that? I feel like it'll get too messy. So with that being said, our comment is from Derek Reynolds. He goes, can you imagine LeBron watching Pop just shred Bronny when he makes a repeated mistakes? For this reason alone, James, doesn't want Bronny here. What are your thoughts on this? By the way, thank you, Derek Reynolds. What do you think about this whole Bronny James, San Antonio thing? Would you as a GM pull the trigger if he declares and if he's on the board?
So as a first round pick, definitely not. As a second round pick, I'm talking if you're able to get a second round pick in the very last part of the draft. I mean, you can shoot your shot and take the shot at getting Bronny James. I mean, you're talking about a guy averaging 5 points and maybe 3 rebounds a game at USC. Of LeBron's both sons, I mean, Bronny to me is not the more athletic one. I like his younger son a lot better as far as a prospect goes. But I mean, not to say none of less about the James family. I mean, their genes obviously run through LeBron. So, I mean, you're going to have some athleticism. But as an NBA player, he's not going to be a great NBA player at all. You're kind of just drafting him in hopes that you can get LeBron on the last leg of his career. I mean, how much can you get from LeBron? You obviously still can get a good amount from him, but for how long? I mean, I see the thing. If Bronny James comes to San Antonio, he's going to be in Austin majority of the time, if not the entire time. LeBron's not going to like that. LeBron's going to want him to be playing on the squad. And I think you're going to see a lot more headbutting if Pop is still the coach and Bronny James is a player for the Spurs. Honestly, if I'm San Antonio and I'm the front office, I just stay clear away from Bronny James. I don't want anything to do with Bronny James at all because it's going to cause more of a circus and more of a rift because there's no guarantee LeBron will come to San Antonio.
Right. There's not a guarantee. Yeah.
You can draft Bronny James, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't care what LeBron has said in the past. I want to play with Bronny and I'll, do what I have to play with Bronny in the NBA. There's no guarantee LeBron James will come to San Antonio. So I would just stay clear of all that. I'm willing to bet you anything that the Lakers are probably going to snag him at any cost. So we'll leave it at
that. Here's a scenario I brought up about this whole thing. If let's just say Bronny's there, a second round pick, okay, and the Spurs draft him. My idea then would be like, okay, but immediately let everybody know you're open to flipping him. Yeah. And with the dangle, with the bait being like, by the way, we're giving you LeBron James' son, and LeBron may come with him. So it's almost like you're getting 2 for 1 if you're a team.
It's possible.
So I'm making this up. Let's just say it's like in Indiana that needs just that one player to push them over the top in the East to take on Boston. Hey, Indiana wants to make a deal with the Spurs for Bronny James. Well, yeah, Bronny James goes there, but LeBron James may follow. I can see LeBron going to Indiana. It's not a bad team. It's not a horrific team. He could be that missing piece. And voila, the Spurs now have a higher sticker price for Bronny as second round pick. I mean, that's the only way I think the Spurs could maybe see a benefit of that.
Mhm.
What do you think? Do you think any team outside of the Lakers will take a chance on him?
Honestly, no. I don't think any team probably takes a chance. And I clearly see what you're saying as far as, drafting Bronny for the sense of possibly being able to trade him. But I don't see any GM even considering trading for Bronny James. I mean, because you're probably going to be asking for a decent amount in return.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see any team breaking up their structure, any top team breaking up their structures just to get a Bronny James. And that's why I feel which I think he's going to stay another year. I don't think he truly will.
I think that's the smart thing for him to do.
Yeah, he needs to probably stay another year. Again, the stats don't jump out at you. He hasn't really had great games at USC. So I don't know, man. To me, I stay clear. It's almost like in football with Shadur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son. I have him undraftable, period, right now.
Wow.
For any NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the only one. A lot of people will tell you that. So it's just based off of hype in the name is all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, look, I'm not trying to compare it to that family, but it almost feels like it might be a circus like LeVar Ball was. Yeah. I know LeBron wouldn't take it there, but imagine the circus in San Antonio. Victor, Pop, LeBron, Bronny.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? If you think cameras are on San Antonio right now with Victor, just Victor alone, imagine all four of those in one team, in one city, same uniform. Bronny gets sent to Austin. Oh, are the Spurs doing LeBron wrong? Are they doing him bad? Yeah. LeBron makes an offhand comment, has probably nothing to do with how Pop is coaching, at least criticizing how Pop is coaching Bronny, oh my God, is LeBron upset in San Antonio? I mean, it'll just be out of control, Rudy.
Yeah, it would be. It's going to be a media circus. And it's just, like I said, it's a circus you don't want. I mean, you've got a really good thing going right now with Victor. You're starting off a whole new rebuild with a fantastic player. I'm probably in the short part of it here on the low end of it, when it comes to fans. But even if I'm offered to get LeBron James, I'm kind of staying away from that. I don't want anything taken away from what Victor's doing in San Antonio. Let him build his own team here. Let him build his own, franchise and everything. There's no reason to bring in a player like LeBron James. And I get it. Oh, it's championships. We can bring championships. We got LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama. You're only going to have LeBron for a couple of years. It's not even, and to me, it's not worth it. I mean, for God's sakes, he's had trouble winning at Los Angeles with those teams. So there's no reason to bring him to San Antonio for anything.
Absolutely. All right. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Tell us about Sweep, man. We need to know.
Yeah, so Sweep the League. We're part of the Alamo City Podcast Network. Just go to YouTube, search Alamo City Podcast Network, subscribe to it. We are on Monday through Friday from 2 to 3:30. Some days 2 to 3, but we're guaranteed at least an hour on the show. We talk NBA, a lot of NBA, a lot of NFL. We'll get into baseball season. Derek Gervin is with us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So for those of you that join, we always talk NBA vault stuff. Jeff knows for a fact that we dive deep into NBA vault and even NFL vaults. We talk old school all the time. Everybody seems to love it, but just join us Monday through Friday, 2 to 3:30 Central Time on YouTube to search Alamo City Podcast Network.
Rudy, you're gonna kick me in the head for this. I forgot to pick up the sword. I forgot to pick up the Sword of Omens. So Rudy and I, we spent the weekend at a Comic-Con in San Antonio, and there was a booth and they were selling like recreated swords, and there was a sword of Thundercat sword of Omens.
Yeah.
Not talking to some cheap knockoff, not talking something you find at the dollar store. This was a legit blade, like a real blade. Right. And it was heavy.
Very.
But we saw that on day one. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be carrying this around. I'll wait till day 2, the end of the closing ceremony. Then I'll pick it up. Then it just goes straight home. So Rudy knows this, but I was a host for a lot of the panels, and I got sucked into that. Rudy, like, okay, I got to go to this room. I got to go to this conference room. I got to go here. Got to go here. Okay, I'm over, but let me go say goodbye to everybody. And then I remember walking out, doors closed. That was it. You leave. The doors are locked. Halfway back to my apartment, I go, oh my God, I forgot the Sword of Omens. Just zoned out. Yeah. I said, they won't let me back in. They're not going to let me back. Even with my pass, that all access pass, there's no way. So unfortunately, the Sordo Omas will not be behind everybody now, Rudy. I feel so disappointed.
I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna see those guys again, I'm sure. So and my problem was I didn't get it on Saturday because I told you I parked at River Center Mall. So I had to walk through River Center. And if I'm crossing the street with this big old sword, I'm probably gonna get stopped from here to my car.
And we're not lying. It was a legit sword. Legit. It was heavy. There was jewels on it. It was the eye of Thundera. Well, it was the tiger, but nevertheless, oh well. But look, there's so many cons in San Antonio. I'm pretty sure that booth will be back. So no loss there. Again, he is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow. More silver and black talk, more Wemby talk as the season winds down. Check out Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 streaming channel only on YouTube. Locked On Network is there for you. All things sports 24/7 on YouTube. Go subscribe. Locked On Sports Today. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.